Welcome one and all to this show, where we will go head deep into not only the lore of the man behind the multi-platform, multi-game guild known as Xenocorp Inc., but also into the inner workings of the mind of the one and only Frey Man, in what is simply known as the Frey Files. Please enjoy.
So, how'd you start Xenocorp anyways?
Well, so originally, we used to play IR games back in the day. We created our own IR guns, and we we had a old apartment complex in the middle of downtown, well, North Dallas, kind of North Dallas, Richardson area in the U.S. that was completely dilapidated. They had pulled the front walls out of all the apartments, and so we would go in there and we would play little games and stuff, and we had to come up with a name. And so originally, I kind of came up with me and a friend of mine were talking. I was like, well, Xeno stands for like outsider or something like that, and corp would be, and that's so we kind of came up with that. And then when I got older and I got back into technology and started to do that kind of stuff, it was just a natural progression. So we had an online guild that I started. That was called Xenocorp. Originally, we played in Half-Life and Star Command, Starfleet Command. I mean, that was some of the primary stuff that we got into. But
So, is Xenocorp a gaming guild as well as the other stuff that you mentioned?
yes, primarily the consultation company is just kind of a natural extension of but it was the gaming guild far before anything else. And then in real life, obviously, it was more of kind of a gaming group, and that's what we called ourselves. Because we're a bunch of geeks and we love creating our own lore and that kind of stuff. So we had to come up with something. But yeah, it's definitely it's been an online gaming guild since the Half-Life StarCraft era. we played a lot of StarCraft.
So, what games do the members of Xenocorp play these days?
Right now, we're playing online Conan Exiles, Star Trek Online, Neverwinter Online. There are some that are still playing Elder Scrolls Online. There's a couple that are playing Fallout 76. You know that everybody's probably going to be like, "Oh my God, how can you play that game?" But we've had a really good time with it. I mean, we've enjoyed ourselves a lot. We didn't get hit with any of the guys getting their stuff robbed from the exploit that went around about 3 weeks ago. Communities are really good. I'm glad to be a part of a couple good Facebook and other communities, other social media communities, and so there's a lot of good stuff that's going on, and we're looking forward to the Wastelanders stuff that's coming out. Bethesda just announced that they're going to have some people that are you can opt in to test, get early access to the Wastelanders to help beta test it, and that's a good sign. That's always good when they're going to start getting people from the population to start beta to help testing out the new stuff before releasing it. It was a big point of criticism. So now the community can only blame themselves if they miss shit, and I'm happy with that. But then I think, let's see if there's anything else. I think some others are still playing WoW. I don't know why.
So how many members does Xenocorp currently have?
So are you talking about nationally in the US or international? I'll just give you both. So in total, we have about 125 members, roughly 125. It depends. Sometimes, and if we say active members, if you were to say just actual people that have joined and been active and then kind of gone inactive, we still hear from them, but they're not actively playing games. Probably around 270-ish. In the United States, it's about 77, I think, at last count. Different games, running different stuff, and then like I said, all in total. So we have some mostly in the UK and Australia. So are our international members.
Seems like most of your members are from the USA.
Yep.
Is that because you guys enjoy playing with each other and being in a similar time zone is helpful?
I don't know if that's the case necessarily, or more it was just originally started out as a US, you know what I mean? I mean, we started playing games here physically, as I explained. It started out just as a physical thing. We would go out and play the IR games, infrared games. So it would naturally have to evolve generically or from grassroots from the US. So it you know, obviously it kind of makes sense if you think about it from that perspective, that we would have a majority of our members in the United States. But curious side note that we did when we played Age of Conan, which there's some I want to bring up. That's another game that we still do play. We have a very still not, I wouldn't say very, I don't want to make misrepresent it. We have a pretty decent active group of guys that still raid on Age of Conan. But when we started playing there, we started playing in the EU shard. They had a United States and a EU shard, and we had more members that were playing Age of Conan in the international realm. So in the UK and in Ireland and in Germany and you know, Europe, than there were in the US at the time. So we of course went with the European zone. So you know, we always will go with what's best for the majority of our members. That's always the point. Is if the majority of our Xenocorp guys are in Europe or in that surrounding area, then we're going to go with that shard if one's there, because we want to work together as a team. And then once I took over the intellectual property rights for the Starfleet Command series of games, I created a nonprofit organization called the Dynaverse Gaming Association, and we listed all of the assets of the Starfleet Command series as intellectual property rights of that nonprofit organization, because we didn't want to see anybody utilize those assets for a profit perspective.
I didn't realize that you had was in charge of the nonprofit that owns Starfleet Command systems.
Yep. Yeah, that's Dynaverse.net is my website. So if you go to Dynaverse.net, you can see the forums are still actually going strong. We've still got people that go in there and post, and the store is still there. But we don't sell the game for any kind of profit. The games are listed. So Starfleet Command 1, 2, Orion Pirates, and Starfleet Command 3 are all still listed there, in addition to the book that I got. It's only book that I've published, but it was the Orion Pirate Strategy Guide. They didn't, neither Taldrin nor Interplay decided to do a strategy guide for the Starfleet Command series. So we opted at Dynaverse.net to decide to take this to involve the community. So we took all the community posts in the forums, kind of put them in a more readable format. We got a bunch of more information together for new players that were at the time, coming to play the online versions of those Starfleet Command games. And then basically ramp that up. We even at one point in time had our own kind of Dynaverse communication system to take over GameSpy. So when GameSpy was phased out for a while, we still had we developed our own coding system to run the directory servers that allowed multiplayer campaigns to continue in the Starfleet Command series games. That's no longer the case. It's just there's nobody playing, so we're not going to just have stuff running for no reason. But the beauty of it is that we can crank those services up at any time. So if we start to see if people want to actually have like a retro campaign and play Starfleet Command, old school campaign like that, we could easily accommodate that at any time.
So I also have to admit I have no idea what actually Starfleet Command is. Could you elaborate on that?
So Starfleet Command, the entire series of games, is I think in many ways it's the spiritual predecessor to the Starfleet Online franchise. The Starfleet Command series of games was the first set of Star Trek games that most people considered they actually did right. It was based on the tabletop version of Starfleet Battles by Amarillo Design Bureau. I want to make sure to credit them in regards to their original tabletop design. They're the ones that created the tabletop game. So when Interplay decided to do Starfleet Command, they licensed that the images, the basic concept, the damage tables, the hex layouts for all of the different ships. And it was just basically a way for you to do ship-to-ship combat for the Star Trek Empire. Instead of just having Klingons in the Federation, you had the Kzinti or Meraki, the Hydrons, the ISC. You had a bunch of different interstellar, quote-unquote, races. And those were all represented by different types of technology, different types of ships. So there was a lot of strategy, and it was a great success. The game itself was centered solely on player versus player or co-op play. It was highly modifiable, so the modding community had an absolute blast. It was just a great creative, forum for people because they love Star Trek and they love putting the old school game models in, because you have to remember, since it was based on Starfleet Battles, all of those old versions of the actual ships. So you had, the FDN, which was a Dreadnought server. Then you had the medium class cruise. Then you had other types of light cruisers that were frigates. And so they were all directly transported from the tabletop into a computer or an automated environment. So all the stuff that you used to have to do, like to roll the dice, and then you write off or scratch off little boxes on your little charcoal sheet. The computer did it all for you. So, and then you add to that graphics. So now you've got, nicely rendered 3D graphics of the starships that you love, shooting the lasers and the photons, or the phasers to be lore correct, and the photons and the and the Hellbores and the pulse, the PPDs and that kind of stuff, the different technology, to see that all beautifully rendered, I mean, of course it was going to succeed. So it's a great series of games. Now I want to make sure that I throw a shout out to Starfleet Online or Star Trek Online too, because a lot of the individuals that when we just kind of the community started to degrade a little bit, a lot of people went to Eve, and then a lot of people went to Star Trek Online when it came out. There was a significant area of time, I think about 2 years maybe, between when that happened, when people went to Eve, and then Star Trek Online came. And so, but it's STO has aged very nicely. They've really kind of got it shining up now, and it's a good investment if you go in. You don't have to spend money to get stuff. It's won multiple awards on 10-Ton Hammer and some other places, some other online zines that are pretty significant, that you can play the game without a lot of money spent and still get a significant amount of reward.
So would Starfleet Command be around the same time or era that Star Wars Galaxy would have been out?
Well, I mean, you can't compare those because they're different campaign settings. Star Trek Online takes place in the Prime universe, which is considered the canon, the original. So William Shatner, Kirk type. But they also do crossovers really well. So they have done the alternate universe Star Trek. You can get the ship from the Enterprise from the 2014, was it, I believe, or 2012, whatever. Star Trek, the reboot. But it's not technically a reboot because it's alternate universe. But you get what I'm saying. But anyway, they do a really good job of representing all of the stuff. So I mean, they've gone out and like fleshed out the Romulans. They've fleshed out what happened after Romulus was completely destroyed. They fleshed out what happened after some other stuff has happened. I mean, they again, like I said, they've taken the intellectual property right, and after they floundered for first about 2.5 years, then they really kind of, I think that's when they kind of really found their way and started to get their game going. And then it was just tightening up the bells and whistles, which they've done very well. Pretty good role player. Played on a couple of different internet servers, one of which is still going to this day, a great server if you get a chance to check it out. And that's called Amia. I actually hosted the server for the first couple years of its life. Magnum Man was a good friend of mine from, coincidentally, the Starfleet Command series of games. Now you can kind of see why I segued us into that way. Magnum asked me to kind of host the server when he split it from Aerolith originally. Then at that time, I didn't feel like it'd be a good idea for me to play on the server because it was like a conflict of interest, right? If I host it and I'm the guy that owns the server and everything, it just, people would be not at all convinced that there wasn't any shenanigans going on. So when I left the company that I was at and decided no longer could host the server, and they took the other admins of Amia took it over graciously. At that point, I decided to start playing, and ultimately ended up playing several years and had a great time on that server. A lot of really fond memories.
Yeah, I have fond memories of that server as well. So I bought my laptop in May of last year, and it cost me $900 approximately. Would I be able to play these types of games on my laptop?
Well, it's hard to say. I'd have to look at more. I'd have to get more information about your specs, and I don't want to turn this into a technical consultation thing, because then I'd have to charge you. But I'm joking. But depends. It just depends. The great thing about technology is that it's advanced so much in the last several years that a lot of stuff that is under $1,000 will run a lot of these games. You could run probably 76 and run it reasonably well on it. You'd have to give it a try though. It just depends, because you have to, as always, you have to look at what the minimum specs are, right?
That makes sense.
Yep. That's why I love computers so much. They're logical. You don't have to worry about illogical stuff like emotions and sentiment and that kind of stuff from computers.
Is that also the reason that you play undead characters as well?
That's a very insightful question, and the answer actually is yes. That's one of the reasons why I prefer role-playing necromancers and having those type of characters, is because undead, I mean, there's no complications. Some people, I always thought it interesting because some people said they thought it was because it was a position of power or control. And I can see that. But for example, the way that Frey Files was to Sasha, his undead daughter, for all intents and purposes, the RP relationship between them was anything but, a controlling, domineering relationship. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that, as you stated, and I would agree with that it's much more that there's since the body is just a vessel. That's the way that I've always kind of mentally imagined that these individuals, these people that do this type of body crafting or soul crafting, if you want to look at it that way, do, right? The body is just a vessel, and so when you look at it that way, when you realize that the soul of whoever that soul was that previously inhabited that body is gone, and this is just flesh. That's all it is, and if you break away from but it's still somebody's body, and you look at it in that way, then things change, and you start to see kind of a different way of viewing things. And so, it's interesting to go there. That's one of the reasons why I really enjoy RP, is to put myself in positions that I would never ever be able to be in. I could never have been Frey Files in real life. Like, never. That could never have been me. No way. But I enjoy RPing different, difficult types of roles because it challenges you to get outside of your comfort level.
I probably roleplay the same way, but I by that I mean I get heavily involved in my characters, but all my characters they're completely different. They're a bit like me. They are vastly different than me, but they are, unlike you. All my characters are very emotionally driven.
Yeah, I still think there's some emotional drive behind a lot of my characters, but I think I'm more interested in exploring some of the more extravagant aspects, right? Like I want to if I'm going to do this to try and make myself uncomfortable, then I don't necessarily want to be extremely uncomfortable, but I want to make sure I put myself in the uncomfortable position, because that's how you learn. That's the way you learn things. That's the way you can open your mind to new positions and new ways of seeing things, is to experience different things and look at things from a different way, get outside of the bubble. So it was important for me to do that, and RP was a great way for me to handle that.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, Potato?
Not much. I just saw you and wanted to say hi.
How you been?
Oh, really good.
Yeah, good. Last time we talked, I think you were gonna go traveling and go like to a like badass swimming hole or something.
Oh, yeah. I did that all this summer. It was so much fun.
Yay! I have only one question for you though.
Yep.
Did you see Godzilla?
No.
Okay, we can't be friends.
Like the movie?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, we can't be friends anymore. Get out. Get out. Do it now.
But I'm potatoes.
Nope. Sorry. You gotta go, sister.
When was it out?
It's been out since 2014. Tar.
Oh, I thought there was a new one.
There is a new one, but I was trying to be nice and just see if you'd seen the first one.
Oh, I think a long time ago.
Come on now.
Like a black and white one or something.
See what I mean? Now you're just fucking with me, and I don't.
But I didn't see anything like in 2014. I haven't seen
it. You need to go see that movie. It's awesome.
Okay.
I will also do that.
You haven't seen it either? Okay. Okay. So did you guys see Avengers Age of Ultron?
I don't usually watch Marvel movies or Disney movies.
Why?
I like the cartoon.
Bastards. I feel like my whole cultural backing here has just dropped. Where's my foundation? Where is it? Who am I spending time with here? Ugh. Okay, so what's your objection to Disney?
The two cookie cutter.
What do you mean? Honestly, I'm interested. I'm not trying to judge.
I don't really know how to explain it in a way that doesn't make me sound like a man-child.
Well, it doesn't matter what you sound like. Give it a try. Because believe it or not, I agree with you to a degree. When you say cookie cutter, if you mean like they all kind of have the same premise, because that's the way comic books are, bro. That's always the way they've been. Like as a comic book reader, it's very, very rare for you to go into it and be like, well, the good guy's going to get the girl. Oh, yeah. He's going to end up beating bad guy's ass. Somebody's going to get their ass kicked, and we're going to have a good fight. And then the chick's going to go, Spider-Man, come here. My name's Gwen Stacy, and I want to kiss you. That's what's going to happen. So everybody knows it, right? It's just how you get there. And that used to be the game. It was the storytelling, how they took you on the roller coaster ride that got you there. So I look at the Marvel movies and a lot of the, I want to make sure that I expressly mark my disdain for the more recent Star Wars movies. I pretty much hate all of them. The most recent one I'm boycotting. Oh. I make sure that I expressly mark my disdain for the more recent Star Wars movies. I pretty much hate all of them. The most recent one I'm boycotting.
Oh, but it was so good.
No, it wasn't.
I liked it.
It was horrible. It rendered everything that happened. And listen, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm assuming when this airs, don't stop listening now because there will be spoilers and we do not want to ruin it for you, right? Even though it's been out for weeks. You bastards. We still want to be good, but the bottom line is that it made everything that happened in Return of the Jedi completely irrelevant. Everything. Vader's sacrifice, Luke, the whole bit, all of it, doesn't mean nothing.
I still liked it.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I liked Independence Day too. Didn't understand why it won so many awards.
Independence Day is a great movie.
See? Thank you for proving my point. But it's just it's like, I don't know. So
the only thing I did not like about the last Star Wars movie was I was really hoping for a darker ending than what it was. I really wanted to see her go bad, and she didn't. But that's cool. I still like how it ended. I just kind of wanted to see a different side.
But see, that was the thing, was that, and come on, man. Really? I mean, Palpatine's granddaughter.
I know. It's kind of ridiculous.
See, even you're like, oh, the movie is great. But then when we get into the meat and potatoes, and this is why I love you, Potato, is when we get to the meat and the potatoes, Potato admits, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Because it is. It fucking is kind of ridiculous. Excuse my friend.
When it came out, I was when I saw that, I was like, really?
I know. Everybody did that. Everybody was like, what? Really? Come on. But that's okay because I get what. Look. JJ had a huge mess on his hands. Rihanna Johnson, whatever, he just destroyed Star Wars. So JJ had a really hard, long road to try and take to get us back to any kind of a thing, right? Yeah. And they wanted so badly to pay a tribute to Carrie Fisher, which I am totally cool. And but it was like Superman's face when they tried to take off the mustache. Things just didn't look right.
I think they should have, she should have died in the last one. Not the last one, but, the one before.
It was to me, in my opinion, means nothing. I admit. I guess it means something to somebody. But it seemed like they were really trying to go over the top to be like, here's a woman training another woman. But then it's like at the end, she's like, what's your name? Sons of Skywalker. And it's like she's co-opting the Skywalker name now. So now that basically means like she's stealing everything. So it's a woman training a woman to steal the legend of a man to be a woman. And I'm like, can we just have stories about people? I'm happy to support any story. Any story, doesn't matter. I don't sit here and go, oh, it's a woman. I don't know.
I think she did not want her grandfather's legacy to be something good if she was going to be the good guy, the Jedi. I can understand that. I don't think she needed to take Skywalker's name.
Well, that was the other part of it. It's like Palpatine taking Skywalker. Now how evil could you possibly get? What if that's the reality? What if she's really is taking the evil, but she's going to masquerade under the Skywalker name? Oh, my mind. It's way overactive imagination-wise, but you get my point.
That would be awesome.
and then Jar Jar was ultimately the truest Sith master. All those backwards Reddit channels just absolutely burst to life, going, "We told you so! We freaking told you so!"
Am I the only one that actually liked that character?
That's been like around for so long, and there's so much evidence that has been kind of collated together to point towards it, and apparently there have been some instances where Lucas is kind of, and I believe I don't know for sure. I'm not this big Star Wars like lore person, so I can't say for sure about that. But I thought I read somewhere that somebody had said Lucas almost basically confirmed it that at first he was going to do that. He was going to go ahead.
Do you want a big Star Wars lore fanatic in here for a second? Because I can hand this thing over and he can answer the question.
I don't know. Now I'm suddenly intimidated. Because I'm not a big Star Wars lore person by any means. But regardless, that I do know of that whole like conspiracy theory.
Yes.
The Jar Jar Binks is fucking. Jar Jar Binks is freaking a evil Death Lord, Sith Lord.
Yes.
He's Darth Plagiarist or Plagius. That would be so amazing, dude.
With that voice, though.
I know. You'd have to keep the accent exactly the way it is. And just talk like that. Him and Yoda get into a fight. I would not want. I couldn't survive. There's no way.
Oh my God.
Amazing. That would be so good.
Now I need to see this. I really hope that somebody does this.
I know. We're planting the seed right here.
Yay!
One of the final nails in Star Wars for me was when a droid became the brain of the Millennium Falcon in the Solo story.
Yeah, that was one. You know what? I think that 2.0 agrees with you. That was who was barking in the background, and I think she was agreeing. Yeah, see, she's agreeing with you. But yeah, that was another example of that whole part where it almost seemed forced. It seemed like, in a way, they were trying to force at first that the robot had a gender, right? Just because its voice modulator was a certain way meant that, you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
I don't understand that. Tato, how does that work?
What do you mean with the little droid?
No, in Solo, that he made a great point, and I agree with it. And I'm kind of expounding.
I fell asleep during the movie. Like I did. I never even actually finished that one. I fell asleep like maybe 5 minutes in. Solo.
Well, so there was a droid that was a droid. It was a robot, but it had a very female voice to the robot, right? And it had very like female gender mannerism.
Then I would.
So when, but that's what robots don't have genders.
Well, yeah, I know robots don't have genders, but he said he was referring to it as a she.
Yes.
So then it was a female. If he was referring to it in female pronouns, then it was a female droid.
What if I refer to her as a he? Then it's a male droid?
Then it would be a male droid to you.
Oh.
It's all a matter of perception.
No. No, it doesn't have a gender because it's a fucking robot.
Droids
I
don't.
know.
Robots don't have gender.
Okay, so that's like
Now we're anthropomorphizing things. Now we're making things like humans. That's no way. No, only humans are humans.
Droids don't have rights in Star Wars, so droids are whatever the owners say they are.
No. Oh my God. Now we're no.
So the robot itself is genderless, but the voice codex is female, and that is who he was responding to.
Right. Right. Well, what if I knew that the previous owner had changed the voice to female because he wanted a female voice instead of a male, and when he first got the robot's voice was male modulated? What if I knew that? So I'm like, no, that's a dude.
I don't know then. I can't answer this question.
See, that's what I'm trying to say. So he makes it totally simple if you just go, there's no gender because it's a robot. Yeah, I'm good. That's why it's a blessing and a joy to be me. Come on, Potato, admit it, you've missed me.
I love you.
As always, in my videos, please comment. Comment. Please.